I'm pretty cold and I wish I'd dressed in warmer layers, but I'm very happy. I feel like I could just stay here all day under this tree, listening to the lovely swishing of the leaves in the breezes. It's like being beside the sea, but leafier.
In this house I am tending to leafy life, reaching green and bending toward the light. Leafy life, this is my leafy life.
Welcome to a very leafy, autumnal, woodsy kind of video. Here's a deep bit. This is a long driveway up through a National Trust property. Don't worry, I was actually going sensibly slowly. Morning. It is a November day. It's a bright and blustery day, and I've come to just soak up some tree-ish, leafy loveliness. I'm here at Knightshayes in Devon, and it's a National Trust property, and I'm not even going around the proper gardens. I am a National Trust member, but I'm not going around the gardens today. I'm just going to go around the parkland and woodsy bits. Basically, I have not been spending enough time out in nature lately, especially around trees. I think particularly over the summer, because I don't like being hot and I like shade, which obviously that would be time under trees, which I tried to do a bit, but I just don't do well in hot weather, and I think I sort of did a little bit of summer hibernation to some extent. To just be in the house more than I normally would be. But yeah, now that we're in the thick of autumn and things are cooler, it just feels so good to be getting more fresh air, more leg stretching time. So I thought you guys would appreciate the beauty with me. So I'm bringing you along and filming as much loveliness as I can. Travelling light. It's most unlike me. I don't have a bag. I've just got car keys, phone, and a very light coat in case it does get a bit drippy. But it's dry at the moment. I'm getting a bit dripped on under here. Oh my gosh. So I came to show you some gorgeous oak trees today, but we'll get to those in a minute because I've got very distracted by some gorgeous beech trees, which are my absolute favourite tree of all time, and they're so coppery and gorgeous right now. Drip. As the wind is blowing, it's just sending down droplet after droplet. Ugh! That one went right in my mouth. Oh, that's better. It is actually really drippy in the woods right now, and quite chilly. So I'm glad to have something to keep the cool breezes out. I am getting so dripped on right inside my glasses and all over my face. But it's just so lovely to be here. It's so lovely to be surrounded by trees and hear them swooshing in the breeze, and it's time to breathe deep for a while. In the canopy, the leaves are glowing completely golden, and the sky is so blue, and the clouds are just racing by. It's quite windy. Oh, here comes a flurry! not even really walking any distance at all right now. I'm just standing and soaking it all up. There's just such a rich, it's such a rich environment. It's like, it's just a sensory delight being here right now. I just can't tear myself away from this moss. It's so gorgeous and feathery and drenched. And nestled in among all the fronds are these tiny little lichen trumpets. I have never seen these before. They are so cute. There's some that are even just so much tinier than these. They're just dinky. Lots of beautiful beech mast. Spiky. I'm just down on the ground looking at the moss. I don't know what you call these little flowery bits. But look at this teeny little fungus. It's so tiny and perfect, it's exquisite. I have, I think, been in the shady woods for about over an hour and being quite still looking at tiny details. So I got thoroughly chilled to the bone, so I've grabbed a cup of tea for on the move and back out into the sunshine, and it feels good to be moving a bit. So this is the oak grove, which I have enjoyed here before. There's so many different types of oak, really varied leaf shape and sizes. I will show you a few of the ones that are still clinging on. I may be wrong, but I think this is a cork oak. Look at this bark. It's very wet at the moment. It still has all its leaves. They're very rounded, loby little leaves. The biggest ones are just a bit bigger than my thumb. So they're all still attached. Very little leaves. Wind's getting up. Properly deep. I love the veins which are in deep shadows in this sunshine. One of the lovely things about the leaves coming down, although I miss seeing them on the trees, I do love the skeletal shadows that you see through the winter. It's really beautiful. I love this mixture of colours, the yellow and brown and green together. gorgeous, gorgeous carpet. Now that I come further down this oak grove, actually I realise there are a lot more trees with their leaves still on than I thought. So this one, it's still completely green and fully laden, very swishy in the wind. It's really beautiful. I'll try and get you a close-up of a leaf. This branch is hanging really low so you can get a good view of these lovely, lovely leaves. They're quite glossy for an oak. I'm just here under the oak trees, and while I'm looking at the leaves I just spotted this amazing licheny branch. I think this needs to come home with me. I think it would look really lovely in the house, and it's a real treasure. I think it's been quite windy lately and a lot of licheny twigs and branches have been coming down. We have a name tag, a nice clear one. This is Quercus imbricaria, and this is the one that has very, very smooth, rounded, large, loby leaves, so no sort of wavy bits or spiky bits. Lovely shadows on the moss, and quite a lot of the leaves have fallen from this tree already, mixed in with the other shapes down on the ground. You can see there's a lot of that kind. And this tree is just really, really lit by the sun right now. So gorgeous. Does this one have a name? I can't see it. It is a mystery. This one doesn't seem to have a name tag on it, but look at the ivy climbing up its trunk. And hello fern up there, look. It looks happy living up there, doesn't it? So this is the shape of this one. It's quite raggedy. Can't find a neat leaf amongst them. They're all wonderfully scraggly. Oh, it's chilly. This one's got really beautiful, slightly more traditional. I can't speak, my jaw is frozen with cold. Oh my gosh, this one is gorgeous. Look at these shapes. Isn't that gorgeous? I thought this was a more traditional shaped one until I got closer, and it is much more intricate than our standard lovely oak that we have everywhere else. It's got a very pale back. And its name is Quercus frainetto. En masse, they just look so beautiful together. I love the outlines of this one. The wind's getting up, and woo! My leaves are scuttling everywhere. I think I'm going to take quite a few of these ones home and make a garland because they are just so lovely. So you can see there's still quite a few hanging on, especially near the top of the canopy, but it has lost a lot. I think this is the perfect time to have come actually, because there's just such a carpet of them, but there's still just a few hanging on to enjoy being lit by the sun when I first got to this grove earlier, when I was at the top up here, I thought I'd come too late in the season because the first few trees were just completely empty. But it was only when I kind of proceeded down this path and got up close to the rest of them that I realised actually there's loads. So we're down at the bottom of the grove right now, and I'm gonna slowly head back up through all these leaves and see which other trunks have got labels on. Okay, who's this? Quercus petrea? Let's have a look at you. Ooh, you're very glowing. Everything's wonderfully backlit at the moment, but when I go around the other side, it's so shiny you can't really see the colours close up with some gorgeous shadows, wavy shadows. It's one of my favourite things is leaf shadows on other leaves. You can see the veins and it's just so gorgeously glowing. You can see it's just beginning to turn. There's a hint of yellow starting to come through the chlorophyll. Right, let's see who this one is. Have you got a name? I don't think so. It looks like it might be the same as the previous one actually. This one is one of my absolute favourites. It's got a much spikier kind of, how would you describe that? It's such a gorgeous shape. Much pointier leaves than the others, and its name is Quercus schumardii. Yeah, so beautifully golden. I'm just gonna sit here and soak it up. Such an ocean of gorgeous coppery golden loveliness. Today it's reminding me how much happier I am under trees than around buildings. I've always known that really, but this is just a very good reminder to make sure I build in time for this. So just reminding you too that if you need this, just plan it in and make sure you do it, because I think I know that I love doing this, but I sometimes just have it on the back boiler and don't actually make time for it, and I just think, oh yeah, I love doing that, I'll do that soon, or I don't know, and things get away with me. But actually I put this in my diary for today to make myself do it. And it worked. The only sounds I can hear is just the leaves in the breeze. I could just stay here all day under this tree, listening to the lovely swishing of the leaves in the breezes. It's like being beside the sea, but leafier. I wish that I could pause autumn like this for a good few weeks and for things to not change so quickly, but sometimes all it takes is some rain or some wind and suddenly there's not much on the trees anymore, and then the leaves get all mulched down and they're not so beautiful and fresh, and it all kind of turns to brown stodge eventually, which is fabulous and natural, but I just feel like autumn is so fleeting, and as it's my favourite time of the year, I feel like I'm always clutching onto it so hard to try and eke out every last bit of loveliness from it, but life goes by so quickly with school runs and making dinners and tidying houses and just a lot of other things to do. And yeah, I think that carving out time and putting it in my diary to come up to these places is really important to make sure it doesn't pass me by. Rather ridiculous. There's a part of me that wants to just keep picking up more and more leaves, but they just look lovely on the ground. It's nice to take some home as a little souvenir of autumn. Oh, squirrel! Hello, little guy. Squirrels are one of my favourite animals. I think I've probably said that before. I'm going to see if I can get any closer. Oh, he's off. Bye. Here we have another Quercus schumardii, but this one is still completely green. Fully laden, as opposed to the golden one over there, which has been dropping a lot of leaves in a gorgeous carpet. This one has very large leaves. I will just show you against my boot. Pretty massive. And there's still a few on the tree that are a really deep coppery colour, especially in the sunshine. And its name is Quercus valentina black oak. Here we have another one with large leaves, slightly different shape, and this one is Quercus x runcinata or runcinata. Here we have Quercus macrocarpa. Oh, look at this little fern. Look at that, just bedded beautifully. You can see the brown bit at the base of the stems. Just really happily nestled in amongst the moss and the lichen. And the little spores underneath are so yellow and so fuzzy. It's obviously very happy there. Actually everywhere over these branches. So I think these ferns are actually an epiphytic type of fern, and they just take moisture from the air, and they are native to the Americas and Africa, and they are called, deep breath, Pleopeltis polypodioides. It's hard to tell exactly which leaves were growing on this tree because it's pretty bare. Looks like there's one clinging on up there. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, so that shape, let's see if I can find it, this is a whole mixture of ones that have been swept up. I think it's that shape. Yeah, I think I found the original home of my licheny twigs now. All of these branches of this tree are just completely covered in lichen and moss. This one is still completely green and much smaller leaves, really dinky, smaller than our typical oak leaves. I'll show you one against my hand in a minute so you can see how tiny they are. But yeah, pretty much fully laden, this one. I'm going to see if it's got its name on it. Yes, it does. It's Quercus trojana. So, very dainty. I really love the spread of branches on this particular oak. I think it's just glorious. So actually there are a few fallen ones from this tree, including a little sprig here. So there you go. So yeah, much smaller than our typical oak leaves and more subtly ridged, I would say. Not such deep lobes on this one. I'm back at the car now and have my Lichen branch and my leaves. I'm heading home. It's been quite a few hours of lovely exploration, and I'm tired and I'm cold and I'm hungry. I need a cup of tea, more tea. So I arrived home very tired and hungry, and I've got some nice heated up leftovers, some spag bol from the other day, and cup of tea. I've just done some Pilates to warm up because the house was a bit chilly, and I was just so stiff from lots of crouching and lots of craning my neck up trees, and yeah, just really achy and stiff and cold. So I've just done a few minutes of Pilates to warm up and loosen up and get comfy again. And I was just emptying out my pockets of all the leaves and bits and bobs, and I had forgotten that in the gift shop at Knightshayes I had bought this lovely bauble, which I thought I'd show you because I'm planning to do some planty stuff with this. Obviously it lends itself to being a little terrarium bauble. In the shop they had them filled with dried flowers, and you can put whatever you like in there. You could put pom-poms, glitter, some little figurine, chocolates, probably not chocolates, because they'd be too hard to get out when you want to eat them. But yeah, you could just do whatever you like. But it was £3.50. It's from Sass and Bell. So yeah, not a cheap way to have a bauble, but I just thought it was a lovely size, and I just love glass baubles, and yeah, as long as I can easily poke things down in there, it should be fun to make a little terrarium in there soon. Hello again. It's actually several days later due to just bugs and colds in the family, but I have an evening to myself to be quiet and just gently crafty at the dining table, which is all clear and lovely. So I'm just enjoying a bit of cosy candlelight, cup of tea, and I'm going to get on with a very simple leafy garland and a terrarium bauble. I have some macrame cord. I have a grey, well, a kind of pale warm grey, a pale beige, and a very dark green, like a foresty kind of festive Christmassy green. And I'm just gonna have a look at it with the leaves and see how I feel about those colours. I have quite a few leaves here. If I'd been really organised, I could have probably thought about flattening these out nicely, but I literally came home, emptied them out onto the lounge carpet. Because of the haphazard way in which I'd somewhat unceremoniously dumped them, they were just drying in quite a sort of crinkly, sort of curled up kind of way rather than very flat. But I still think they're beautiful, and I think they'll still hang nicely. They're still gorgeous shapes. But yeah, that wasn't very organised of me, but I don't really mind. So I don't think I'm going to plan this out particularly. I don't want to try and form a pattern. I just happy to just get some strung up and get them somewhere around the house that works. So let's have a look. They're all very brown now. The ones that had been a kind of green or a yellow several days ago are now brown. So clear those out of the way, don't need those. And I've got a nice amount of this, and I'm just going to tip this all out, get rid of that. I do have some lichen twigs in here as well, which I won't be stringing up. They are very pretty. So I've had a little think about where I want to hang this garland, and I've decided on the window just above this dining room table, because it's not too big, but it's big enough to kind of drape things. I've done it with paper hearts at Valentine's Day and things like that, and yeah, it's just a nice space to display things in our kind of family eating area, and we'll see it every day. And I think how I'm going to go about it is to just hold up the string to the space and get a rough kind of idea of length that I need, and then fold that in half and start in the middle, because I want to put one of the biggest leaves in the middle. I thought that would make a nice little centre kind of feature, and then I think I'll just roughly alternate between some different types and sizes of leaves, so the more sort of medium to large ones and some more little dinky ones. Nothing too orderly, but just to give a bit of variation and contrast. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to get knotting. I just did single knots and pulled them tight against the leaf stem. It's up. It is far from perfect. I could let it bother me that the spacing is really uneven, but I'm deciding not to bother, because it's just nice to have a little bit of autumn brown up in the house and see the shapes while I'm at home, because obviously I'm not out in the woods every day. And yeah, just a little reminder of my fun adventure amongst all the oaks. It was pretty gross up there. You may have seen I was shooing off a spider who wanted to come down and get into what I was doing. I think he thought I was a fly that had landed on his web. I really should clean up there, not because the spiders bother me, but just because there are quite a few of them, and they just create quite a lot of mess. And I've realised that the window frames are really grotty, and it's all their remnants of their dinners. It's completely disgusting. It's like, yeah, I won't go into it. It's pretty grim. I don't have anything against spiders, and they don't freak me out like I know they do for some people. I'm quite happy for them to be in the house. I just don't really want them on me. And yeah, I don't really want to have to be clearing up after them, because I've got enough clearing up to do in life anyway. But yeah, there we go. So there we go, a garland of autumnal loveliness. So you could do your own really easily. It's just string and knots. If you wanted to make it really extra jazzy, you could add beads in between the leaves, or ribbons, or other bits and bobs like beech mast, acorns, other twigs. Completely up to you. It's the kind of thing that you can just do with it what you will, tinker away, and just enjoy yourself. It's completely your thing, and it's not like we're trying to decorate for a magazine shoot. It's just our homes, and make it how you like it. Now it's on to the terrarium in a bauble. So I just need to squeeze in that pin and take off the cap. I have some gravel. Okay. I have a little bowl of gravel here. I have some acorns for decor. I have some of my normal compost, which is a mixture of houseplant compost and some perlite and some orchid bark. I have a Photonia, a little pink one, and then I have a little box of goodies, tiny little things. I'm just debating what I want to pop in this one. So I do think that the pink Photonia would look gorgeous in here. I would snip off a top cutting there, like a little floret of leaves, and just pop that centrally within some moss, and that would look lovely. But I do have this quercifolia, what's it? Hold on a sec, I'm just gonna show you a bit clearer. So you saw this maybe when I was doing my terrarium, the big terrarium. It's not going to focus on it in there, is it? So that one there is Quercfolia, and it's not a cheap plant and it's not an easy plant to find, and when I got it from eBay it was just two very little cuttings. The first one went into my big terrarium, so I only have this one left, and I'm thinking it's rather precious, rather beautiful, and I think I'd like to make quite a feature of it on its own. So I'm going to try it in the bauble with some moss and some little acorn cups rather. Yeah, I'm going to just tinker with that and see how it goes. So yeah, just a reminder, if you haven't done a terrarium before, it's obviously not normally doing it in a bauble, but imagine this is your terrarium glass and you need to put a drainage layer, so some rocks or some gravel, things like that, and then your substrate, and then some moss if you want to do moss, and then pop the plants through the moss, like resting on top, or depending on the type of plant, whether you want to poke it into the moss to get down to the soil, or plant it first in the soil and then bed moss around it. It just depends, but the Quercfolia can just rest on top of the moss because that's the way it grows. It doesn't need to root down. It will sort of bed in itself. So I'm going to crack on. So I've got some moss here. It's I've just been reinvigorating it with some water, so it's pretty saturated. So I'm just going to make sure that I squeeze it out well before I add it in, because I don't want to add too much moisture. Obviously these chunks are much bigger than the narrow neck of the bauble, so I will be trimming them down as I go, and they're quite densely they've got quite a deep bit of soil attached to them, so I'm going to be trimming that off as well. I'm just trying to make sure I clean off my hands of debris in between each little addition, because it's just easy to spread little particles of stuff on the inside of the glass, and I want to keep it as clean as possible. So yeah, just makes me feel a bit more dexterous as well when I've got clean fingers. So let's start getting this moss inside. I'm going to go for the edges first because I find it easier to get that how I want it with a nice clean edge kind of around there, and then I can fill in towards the middle as I go. Obviously this will be quite heavy when it's done, so I wasn't thinking of hanging it on a Christmas tree, partly because of the weight, and partly it would get a bit lost anyway, having sort of green things amongst the green. So this is more of a sort of feature ornament to hang in a window or from whatever you've got. I use the other end of the tweezers to just gently firm down the moss into the substrate at the edges for a neater look and to make sure it sort of made contact, so hopefully it will avoid going brown at the edges and will make contact and carry on growing. So now it's time to put the leafy bit in. So here's my little rooted cutting. It's been really happy in this tiny little box with some sphagnum moss for a few weeks. It's actually got a root at either end there, but nothing rooting along the middle of the stem yet. But if I can get this so that the main stem sits on top of the moss and makes contact, then it should root through there as well. I don't know how I'm going to get these long bits of root in. We'll just see. Oh, and I forgot to say it's got new growth since it went into the little box. So those two leaves on the end are new. You can see how shiny and pale that end one is. So tiny, so cute. So I managed to just kind of like poke and push the roots down through the moss at either end, and it's sitting just kind of neatly on top of the moss. The rest of the stem, that is. So I'm just going to choose a little acorn cup or two to go in there as well. I'm going to go with the smaller ones because it's quite a small terrarium. Just going to pop it in and then use the tongs to position it. It's nice having the little acorn cups in there, having been with the oak trees the other day, and also as this, the name of this quercifolia means leaves like an oak, so it's kind of nice. As I bought the bauble there, it's kind of nice to have it all tying together. I'm going to pop one at the back as well. I'm just going to choose. There we go. I like this little set of three. In fact, I'm going to swap them over. I'm going to pop the other one at the back. Unless I'm going to have a dig around actually. There might be some that I prefer a bit more. I've just got quite a few of them at the moment. They're very, very cute. That one's quite nice. It's got 4 on it. So I'm going to take out that first one. Although it's nice and small, it's only got the 2 cups on. These ones are just a bit dinkier. I'm going to pop that bigger one at the back. Well, not that it has to have a front and a back when it's spherical, but I guess I was seeing this as the front here. Sorry, I keep holding it up too high. I'm just going to snip off a little bit of that stem actually, because it's quite long for the bauble. And that one's still got its little acorn in, which is nice. I'm just going to pop that in. I think I'll take that back one out and trim that one as well. I know it's probably not really showing you on camera because it's a bit awkward to show you and give you a really good view, but it's really lovely doing this bauble. It's very nice to hold, being round and sort of hand-sized. Yeah, it is just a really lovely little terrarium to be tinkering with. As I say, that Fittonia would have looked really gorgeous in here too, but I just felt like doing something a bit woodsy. There we go. I'm just going to leave it like that. Pretty simple. Acorns, moss, quercifolia. and that's it really. So I'm going to put the cap back on, and then I'm going to use some other string. I was going to use some red string as a sort of festive thing, but I just don't think this is really limited to Christmas, so I think I'm going to use some of that same brown or maybe cream that I was using for the macrame stuff. So yeah. So I've just added this string. There we go. Little foresty globe. I really love it more than I thought I would. I knew I'd love it a lot. I've loved making that, and I shall treasure it. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but it's so lovely. I find it quite gorgeous. So thank you so much for coming with me on all this lovely leafy appreciation today. Yeah, it's been a joy. It's been really beautiful. So yeah, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and like, share, follow. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.